Good day, everyone. I am Pijalon A. Teves and I am from Group 1. So today we're going to tackle about the human condition in the Common Era. For a long time, humans were content with their relationship with nature. Earliest case of man-made occurred over 12,000 years ago, possibly by hunting and territorial disputes. The Holocene extinction, also called as the sixth extinction or more aptly Anthropocene extinction, occurred from as early as between 100,000 to 200,000 years up to the present. So the Holocene extinction, otherwise referred as the sixth mass extinction or Anthropocene extinction. It is an ongoing extinction event of species during the present Holocene epoch as a result of human activity. This included extinction span numerous families of bacteria, fungi, plants, and animals, including mammals, birds, reptiles, amphibians, fish, and invertebrates, with widespread degradation of highly biodiverse habitats such as coral reefs and rainforests. As well as the other areas, the vast majority of these extinctions are thought to be undocumented, as the species are undiscovered at the time of their extinction or no one has yet discovered their extinction. The current rate of extinction of species is estimated at 100 to 1,000 times higher than natural background extinction rates. So it pertains to the ongoing extinction of several species, both flora and fauna, due to human activity. So flora and fauna, flora is for the plant and fauna is for the animals. So flora is all the plant's life present in a particular region or time, generally and naturally occurring native plants, while fauna, it is all of the animal life of any particular region or time. Driven by their primal need to survive and gaining the upper hand in terms of development and adaptability, humans were quick to find ways to drive off other megafaunas, threatening a prospective hunting spot and eventually setting grounds. Growing population also necessitated finding additional resources, leading to overhunting and overfishing common prey, some of which were endemic to the area. Okay, next is hunting. So hunting, as you can see at the picture, coupled with a changing terrain that the humans began cultivating with agriculture emerged some 9,000 years ago, caused several species to lose competition in territory and food resources. Formation of communities caused humans to expand more in territory and more people to feed. Large, separate communities hailing from the same ancestors and residing in the same large community paved way for civilizations. Kahit bilang isang komunidad, napagtanto ng mga tao na kahit na sila ay nasa pinakamaraming kakayahan sa sarili, sila ay palaging nangangailangan ng mga pagkukunan. Mayaman man o mahirap, walang takas sa realidad na tayo ay may pangangailangan at kailangan natin ng mapagkukunan. Albert waging wars with other tribes seemed to be the early solution. They were able to find out some 500,000 years ago that engaging in a peaceful negotiation was also a possible and less bloody method. So they realized that they could get hold of things not present in their towns by offering something of same value present in theirs. It is in this process that trade emerged, leading to cross-town and eventually cross-cultural interaction as more products were exchanged and the initial needs extended to wants. People then had a new objective, as much as products as possible. They have turned to wealth as one of their goals as humans and ultimately as civilizations, for they perceive that those who have many live comfortably and thus are generally happier than those who do not have sufficient wealth. Thus, They began to hunt, farm, and produce things with prospect of profit. A nuclear community which is initially self-sufficient has known to accommodate their growing population with depleting resources, leading them to be reliant to other communities' produce, which keeps them surviving. In return, these communities have to make use of their current resources twice as much to provide for their other communities' needs. Products products of every kind were exchanged, ranging from necessary ones such as crops, cattle, poultry, others of kind, and clothing materials up to metals, accessories, weapons, spices, literature, and entertainment. They were able to find and create riches for interests. When they could not sell products, they used their skills and got compensated for it, bringing forth a specialized group of artisans. So, artisans is a person who create things like or let me call it a sculptor that is an artisan. Humanity became more complex. The primary goal was not merely to survive, but to live the good life. So, technology. Technology has been instrumental in all of this because in searching for good life, people were able to come up with creations. And that would make life easier, more comfortable, and more enriching. Although the good life envisioned before might be pale in comparison to the multifariousness of today, it offered us the initial intricacies of how today came to be. Such intricacies are also evident in the machines created and causes endeavored by the people of long ago. They perceived as death as the very last and pleasant, and concocted potions to ward evil off from their kinsmen, often appealing to their gods for blessing. Medicine was thus born, although it would take a considerably long time before it part ways with potion. So they become fixated with gold and were adamant in procuring more, trying to use incantations with mixtures of substances to turn lead into one. This ultimately paved, paved way for the emergence of chemistry in the primitive form not quite distinct from alchemy. Due to differing races, beliefs, or abundance of resources and or territory, wars were always being waged, leading communities to allocate resources to the militia. Initially, the early leaders were those who portrayed exceptional strength among their group. This condition carried on for generations. Physical strength was valued at most, although there were appeared to be as many intellectually gifted figures just the same. These innovators were primarily the ones behind discoveries and triumphs of this civilization. So position-wise, the humans of today are much better off compared to humans several centuries ago. Advancement in medicine, technology, health, and education ushered in humanity's best yet and show no sign of stopping. So these are some of the notable comparison then and now. First is the mortality rate. Second, average lifespan. Third, literacy rate. Then fourth, gross domestic product or GDP. So mortality rate. Due to the technology, lesser women and children die during birth, assuring robust population and strong workforce. Medical care for premature infants allows them to survive and develop normally, while proper maternal care ensures that mother can fully recover and remain empowered. So mortality rate then and now. Philippines adult mortality rate between age 15 and 60. In 2020, adult mortality rate for Philippines was 37.17 deaths per 100 population. Adult mortality rate of Philippines increased from 22.12 deaths per 100 population in 1975 to 37.17 deaths per 100 population in 2020, growing at an average annual rate of 6.03%. Across the entire historical sample, that authors found that on average 26.9% of newborns died in their first year of life, and 46.2% died before they reached adulthood. Two estimates that are easy to remember. Around a quarter died in the first year of life. Around half died as children. So in the Philippines, registered death in the Philippines in 2020, a total of 613,936 deaths were registered in the Philippines, a decline of 1.0% from 620,414 in 2019. This is equivalent to a crude death rate of 5.6 or about 6 deaths per 1,000 population in 2020. Next is average lifespan. Aside from the reason that people engage less in combat and are less likely to die in treatable disease now as opposed to then, science is able to prolong lives by enhancing living status and discovering different remedies to most diseases. Distribution of medicines is also made easier and faster. So the average person born in 1960, the earliest year that the United Nations began keeping global data, could expect to live to 52.5 years of age. Today, the average is 72, according to BBC Future. So over the past 160 years, life expectancy, or from birth, in the United States has risen from 39.4 years in 1860 to 78.9 years in 2020. So, what is the average lifespan of a human now? It is 72.6 years. So, the United Nations estimate a global average life expectancy of 72.6 years for 2019. The global average today is higher than in any country back in 1950. According to the UN estimates, the country with the best health in 1950 was Norway with a life expectancy of 72.3 years. So what was life expectancy in 2021? It is 78.99 years. The life expectancy for US in 2021 was 78.99 years, as a 0.08% increase from 2020. Next is literacy rate. Access to education provided to more individuals generally creates a more informed public that could determine a more just society. So how is literacy rate in the past different from now? While only 12% of the people in the world could read and write in 1820, today the share has reversed. Only 14% of the world population in 2016 remained illiterate. Over the last 65 years, the global literacy rate increased by 4% every 5 years, from 42% in 1960 to 86% in 2015. So, what is the Philippines literacy rate? The Philippines literacy rate is 96.3%. Philippines adult literacy rate was at level of 96.3% in 2019, down from 98.2% in 2015. And this corresponds to around 90.8 million Filipinos out of 96.8 million who are considered to be literate on a basic level, or around 6 million above the age of 5 who cannot read or write. Females recorded a basic literacy rate of 94.5%, while males were literate at a rate of 93.2%. So, next is gross domestic product or GDP. Although not an indicator of an average person's lifestyle in a certain country, it is often used to determine the value of the country's goods and services produced within the territory given a certain time period. Higher country income is brought upon by high productivity, often an indicator of presence of technology. GDP in the Philippines according to Philippine GDP 2021 data, 2022 forecast, 1960-2020 historical, GDP in the Philippines averaged 93.65 USD billion from 1960 until 2020, reaching an all-time high of 376.80 USD or US dollar billion in 2019 and a record of low of 4.40 US dollar billion in 1962. So that would be all for today. Thank you and God bless everyone.